The cruiser world thought it knew exactly what to expect from big American 5-twin motorcycles, and then the 2026 Indian Super Chief Dark Horse rolled in and completely flipped the script. At first glance, it looks like a classic stripped-down cruiser, low stance, blacked-out attitude, and unmistakable American muscle. But don't let that old-school silhouette fool you. Beneath the dark, aggressive styling lies a machine that feels like it was engineered to dominate the modern cruiser scene. The moment you twist the throttle, the massive Thunderstroke 116 V-twin comes alive with a thunderous surge of torque that feels less like acceleration and more like a controlled explosion of power. Riders say the torque hits so instantly that the bike feels alive beneath you, pushing forward with that deep, rumbling heartbeat only a big American 5-twin can deliver. And yet, despite all that muscle, the Super Chief Dark Horse manages to stay shockingly refined, smooth on the highway, stable in corners, and surprisingly comfortable for long rides. It's the kind of motorcycle that makes every stoplight feel like the start of a drag race, and every highway stretch feel like an invitation to disappear into the horizon. But here's where things get even more interesting, because the 2026 Super Chief Dark Horse isn't just about brute force, it's about modern performance wrapped in timeless attitude. Indian quietly packed this bike with smart rider technology, improved handling balance, and upgraded ride modes that adapt to how you want to ride. Whether you're cruising slowly through town or rolling onto the highway, the bike responds with precision and confidence, making it feel far more advanced than its retro appearance suggests. The blacked-out finishes, chunky tires, and muscular stance give it a presence that demands attention everywhere it goes. Park it next to almost any cruiser, and suddenly everything else looks ordinary. That's the real magic of the Super Chief Dark Horse. It doesn't chase trends or flashy gimmicks. Instead, it doubles down on raw character, torque-rich performance, and the kind of road presence that makes riders stop and stare. And in a world full of overcomplicated motorcycles, this machine proves something powerful. Sometimes the boldest move is building a bike that reminds everyone why cruisers became legends in the first place. The moment the covers come off the 2026 Yamaha V-Max 1700 ABS, one thing becomes crystal clear. This is not a normal cruiser. This is Yamaha's unapologetic muscle bike legend roaring back to life. And it looks like it's ready to terrorize every straight road it touches. The V-Max name has always meant one thing: ridiculous power wrapped in an aggressive drag bike attitude. And the 2026 version doubles down on that legacy. At the heart of the beast sits a monstrous 1,679cc V4 engine, capable of delivering around 200 horsepower, numbers that sound more like a superbike than a cruiser. Twist the throttle and the bike launches forward with brutal acceleration, capable of hitting 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in about 3 seconds, and pushing toward a top speed, electronically limited near 221 kilometers per hour. That kind of performance turns the V-Max into something few motorcycles can match. A power cruiser that behaves like a drag strip monster, but still looks like a street-legal muscle machine. Massive air scoops, thick rear tire, and the unmistakable stance make it look like it's moving even when it's parked. Riders don't just notice this bike, they feel it before it even starts. But here's where the story gets even crazier. The 2026 V-Max 1700 isn't just about raw horsepower. It's about unleashing that power in a way that feels both violent and precise. Yamaha packed the bike with advanced systems like YCCT electronic throttle and YCCI variable intake technology, allowing the engine to breathe and respond instantly depending on how hard the rider twists the throttle. The result is a surge of acceleration that feels almost explosive, like a jet engine suddenly waking up beneath the tank. Despite weighing over 300 kilograms, the V-Max charges forward with shocking urgency, reminding everyone why it became one of the most feared muscle bikes ever built. And yet, when cruising through city streets or rolling down the highway, the bike settles into a smooth, controlled rhythm that makes long rides surprisingly comfortable. That balance between outrageous drag bike aggression and refined road manners is what gives the V-Max its legendary reputation. In a world filled with complicated electronics and overly polished machines, the V-Max still represents something raw and rebellious. It doesn't try to be subtle. It doesn't try to be quiet. It exists for one purpose: to deliver pure, unapologetic power every time the throttle opens. And in 2026, that legend feels more intimidating than ever. The cruiser world thought it had already seen everything: big V-twins, dark custom styling, and plenty of torque. But then the 2026 Indian Scout 60 rolled onto the scene and reminded riders why the Scout name has always carried serious weight. At first glance, it looks like a simple, stripped-down cruiser with classic American styling, a low stance, and that unmistakable muscular silhouette. But once the engine fires up, the personality of this bike changes instantly. Under the tank sits a liquid-cooled 999cc V-twin engine delivering around 85 horsepower and strong mid-range torque, giving the Scout 60 a surprising punch every time the throttle opens. The power delivery is smooth but aggressive, making the bike feel quick and lively whether you're blasting away from a stoplight or rolling onto the highway. The low seat height, around 654 millimeters, and balanced chassis make the bike feel approachable, almost effortless to control, even for newer riders. But don't mistake approachable for boring. The Scout 60 has a rebellious side, with a deep V-twin rumble and instant throttle response that makes every ride feel exciting. It's the kind of cruiser that looks calm when parked, but turns into a street fighting machine the moment the road opens up. What makes the 2026 Scout 60 even more interesting is how it blends classic cruiser attitude with modern engineering. Indian designed the bike with a lightweight feel and a low center of gravity so riders can confidently lean into corners while still enjoying relaxed highway cruising. The telescopic front fork, dual rear shocks, and strong braking setup give the bike stability and control that many cruisers in this class struggle to match. At the same time, the styling keeps things bold and unmistakably American. Clean lines, aggressive stance, and finishes that make the bike look like it rolled straight out of a custom garage. LED lighting, modern fuel injection, and refined engineering bring the Scout 60 firmly into the present while still honoring the legendary Scout heritage. The result is a motorcycle that feels raw, confident, and ready for anything, from late-night city rides to long weekend highway runs. In a world full of overly complicated machines, the 2026 Scout 60 proves that sometimes the most exciting motorcycles are the ones that focus on the essentials: strong power, bold style, and the freedom of the open road. The moment the covers come off the 2026 Harley-Davidson CVO Street Glide, it becomes painfully obvious that Harley didn't just build another bagger. They built a rolling statement of power, luxury, and pure American road dominance. This machine sits at the absolute top of Harley-Davidson's touring lineup, and everything about it screams exclusivity. At the heart of the beast lives the monstrous Milwaukee 8 VVT 121 V-twin, a massive 977cc engine pushing around 115 horsepower and 139 pound-feet of torque, delivering relentless low-end grunt and explosive mid-range acceleration that can shove this heavyweight bagger down the highway with shocking urgency. Twist the throttle and the response feels immediate and muscular, like the bike is just waiting for an excuse to surge forward. Despite weighing well over 800 pounds fully fueled, the CVO Street Glide launches with the kind of confidence that makes other touring bikes feel timid. Add in inverted front forks, performance-tuned suspension, and powerful Brembo braking, and suddenly this luxury bagger handles with a level of precision riders don't expect from something this big. It's not just a cruiser, it's a high-performance highway machine designed to dominate the long American roads that Harley culture was built on. But the real shock comes when you step into the cockpit. The CVO Street Glide doesn't feel like a traditional motorcycle dashboard. It feels like the command center of a luxury touring spaceship. The massive 12.3-inch TFT display powered by Skyline OS, premium audio system, and customizable ride modes transform the riding experience into something futuristic and deeply immersive. Whether you're cruising through city streets or devouring hundreds of miles of open highway, the bike adapts instantly with modes like Road, Sport, and Rain, letting riders tailor power delivery and control to the moment. And then there's the style, exclusive paint schemes, chrome details from the Carbide collection, and a sculpted batwing fairing that looks like it was carved from solid metal. Everywhere this motorcycle goes, it commands attention. People don't just glance at it. They stop and stare. That's the magic of Harley's Custom Vehicle Operations division. Every CVO model feels like a factory-built custom bike that ordinary machines simply can't match. In a world filled with comfortable touring motorcycles, the 2026 CVO Street Glide proves that luxury and brute power can exist in the same machine. And when they do, the result is nothing short of legendary. When the cruiser world talks about attitude, performance, and everyday rideability, one machine keeps sneaking into the conversation, and in 2026, it's louder than ever. Meet the 2026 Kawasaki Vulcan S, a bike that refuses to follow the traditional cruiser rulebook. At first glance, it looks sleek, low, and deceptively simple. But the moment the engine fires up, you realize something different is happening here. Instead of the usual heavy V-twin rumble most cruisers rely on, the Vulcan S hides a sporty 649cc liquid-cooled parallel twin engine that produces around 60 horsepower and strong mid-range torque, delivering quick acceleration that feels far more energetic than most bikes in the cruiser class. Twist the throttle and the response is immediate, smooth, responsive, and surprisingly aggressive for a mid-size cruiser. What really shocks new riders is how light and agile it feels. With a low 705mm seat height and balanced chassis, the bike feels planted and confidence-inspiring, whether you're cruising through city streets or rolling onto the highway. It's the kind of motorcycle that makes riders rethink what a cruiser can be: sporty, nimble, and comfortable all at the same time. But the real secret weapon of the Vulcan S isn't just the engine. It's the way the bike adapts to the rider. Kawasaki designed it around their unique ErgoFit system, allowing riders to adjust the seat, handlebars, and foot controls to fit different body types. That means the bike can feel almost custom-built, straight from the factory. Pair that with ABS braking, a smooth 6-speed transmission, and a lightweight trellis frame, and suddenly the Vulcan S starts behaving more like a sporty street machine than a traditional cruiser. The long, low stance gives it unmistakable cruiser style, but the handling feels agile enough to carve corners with confidence, something many cruisers struggle to achieve. And that's exactly why riders keep talking about it. The 2026 Vulcan S isn't trying to compete with giant touring cruisers or massive V-twins. Instead, it creates its own lane. A cruiser that feels modern, energetic, and built for riders who want both style and performance without the bulk of heavyweight machines. In a world where many motorcycles stick to tradition, the Vulcan S proves that sometimes the boldest move is breaking the rules completely. And that's exactly what makes this bike such a surprising standout. The moment the 2026 Harley-Davidson Road King Special rolls into view, it sends a clear message. This isn't just another cruiser, it's a highway heavyweight built to command attention. With its blacked-out styling, stretched saddlebags, and tall mini-ape handlebars, the Road King Special carries a presence that feels both classic and intimidating. But the real story begins when the engine fires up. Beneath the tank lives the legendary Milwaukee 8 114 V-twin, delivering about 122 pound-feet of torque and roughly 95 horsepower, giving this big touring machine the kind of low-end punch that makes every twist of the throttle feel like a burst of controlled thunder. Despite weighing more than 800 pounds ready to ride, the Road King Special surges forward with surprising authority, making highway passes effortless and long straight roads feel like its natural habitat. The deep rumble from the dual exhaust, the heavy stance, and the unmistakable Harley silhouette combine into something that's more than a motorcycle. It's a symbol of American road culture. Riders don't just cruise on a Road King Special. They arrive with presence. And when that massive V-twin starts roaring, it reminds everyone nearby exactly why Harley's big touring machines have ruled open highways for generations. But the real magic of the 2026 Road King Special isn't just the brute power. It's the way Harley blends old-school muscle with modern performance. The chassis features a 49mm dual-bending valve front fork, premium adjustable rear suspension, and powerful Brembo brakes, giving this heavyweight bagger the stability and stopping power riders expect when devouring miles at highway speeds. The large 6-gallon fuel tank means fewer stops on long journeys, while the hard saddlebags provide enough storage for serious touring adventures. Yet what truly sets the Road King Special apart is its stripped-down touring philosophy. Unlike many modern touring bikes packed with massive screens and complicated electronics, this Harley focuses on something simpler and arguably more powerful: the pure feeling of riding. The upright riding position, commanding handlebars, and wide stance make you feel like you're in control of a rolling piece of American history. And when the road stretches out in front of you, miles of asphalt disappearing into the horizon, the Road King Special starts to make perfect sense. It's not trying to be futuristic or flashy. Instead, it doubles down on torque, attitude, and the timeless thrill of riding a big American 5-twin across endless highways. In a world full of complicated machines, the Road King Special proves that sometimes the most legendary motorcycles are the ones that simply rule the road. The moment the 2026 Indian Roadmaster 125th Anniversary Edition appears, it's impossible not to realize you're looking at something special. This isn't just another luxury touring motorcycle, it's a rolling celebration of more than a century of American motorcycle heritage. Built to mark Indian motorcycle's 125-year legacy, this limited edition machine instantly commands attention. With its deep red and black crystal anniversary paint, hand-finished details, and exclusive badging that make it feel more like a collector's masterpiece than an ordinary bike. But the real shock comes when you look beneath that stunning exterior. Powering this heavyweight touring titan is the massive Thunderstroke 116 V-twin, a 1890cc air-cooled engine, producing about 126 horsepower and 126 pound-feet of torque, delivering the kind of deep, thunderous pull that makes highway riding feel effortless and addictive. Twist the throttle and the Roadmaster doesn't just accelerate. It surges forward with the kind of authority only a giant American 5-twin can deliver. Despite its massive touring size, the power delivery feels smooth and controlled, perfect for devouring long stretches of highway while carrying the unmistakable rumble that defines Indian's legendary touring lineup. But what truly separates this anniversary machine from the rest of the touring world is the level of luxury and exclusivity packed into every detail. The Roadmaster 125th Anniversary Edition isn't just rare, it's incredibly limited, with only about 100 units produced worldwide, instantly turning it into one of the most collectible touring bikes Indian has ever built. Step into the cockpit and the bike reveals its true purpose as a long-distance luxury cruiser. Riders are greeted by a 7-inch Ride Command touchscreen with navigation, Apple CarPlay, Bluetooth connectivity, and ride statistics, turning the dashboard into a high-tech command center for cross-country adventures. Add in heated and cooled 2-up seating, passenger armrests, premium power band audio, and more than 34 gallons of total storage capacity, and suddenly this machine feels closer to a luxury touring car than a traditional motorcycle. Yet somehow it never loses its classic American touring soul. The valenced front fender, large fairing, and massive saddlebags give it a timeless silhouette that connects the modern Roadmaster directly to Indian's historic roots. In a world full of high-tech touring bikes, the 2026 Roadmaster 125th Anniversary Edition stands apart as something far more meaningful, a tribute to 125 years of motorcycle history, wrapped in one of the most luxurious and powerful touring machines ever built. The moment you lay eyes on the 2026 Harley-Davidson Breakout 117, it's clear this motorcycle was never designed to blend in. This machine looks like it rolled straight out of a custom chopper garage and onto the street, but with the engineering and reliability only Harley-Davidson can deliver. Long, low, and unapologetically aggressive, the Breakout 117 stretches across the asphalt with a 34-degree rake, a massive 240mm rear tire, and a stance that screams raw American muscle. But the real story begins the moment the throttle twists. Underneath the sculpted tank sits the monstrous Milwaukee 8117V Twin, a 1923cc powerhouse capable of producing around 103 horsepower and about 126 pound-feet of torque, delivering brutal low-end acceleration that feels more like a controlled explosion than a gentle cruise. When this engine roars to life, the Breakout doesn't politely roll forward. It lunges ahead with a deep, thunderous rumble that defines Harley's legendary V-twin character. Despite weighing roughly 681 pounds ready to ride, the bike surges down the road with confidence and authority, making every stoplight feel like the starting line of a drag race. It's the kind of motorcycle that makes people turn their heads before it even reaches them, because the sound, stance, and presence are impossible to ignore. But what really makes the 2026 Breakout 117 so fascinating is how it combines show-stopping style with surprisingly modern performance. Harley designed this softail cruiser with a dual-bending valve front suspension, hidden rear monoshock, and rider safety enhancements like drag torque slip control, giving the bike stability and control that many custom-style cruisers struggle to achieve. The long wheelbase and stretched geometry make it feel planted at speed, turning wide highways into its personal playground. And while the design screams old-school chopper attitude, the bike quietly includes modern touches like LED lighting, ride modes, ABS braking, and USB-C charging for everyday practicality. That combination is what makes the Breakout so addictive. It looks like a radical custom build, but it rides like a factory-engineered performance cruiser. Park it anywhere, and it instantly becomes the center of attention. The gleaming chrome, oversized rear tire, and muscular stance practically daring anyone nearby to look away. In a world filled with complicated touring bikes and high-tech sport machines, the Breakout 117 reminds riders of something simple but powerful. Sometimes the most thrilling motorcycles are the ones that focus on attitude, torque, and pure road presence. And when the road stretches out in front of you and that giant V-twin starts rumbling beneath the tank, the Breakout proves exactly why Harley-Davidson's muscle cruisers still dominate the streets. The moment the 2026 Honda Goldwing 1800 DCT fires up, it becomes painfully clear why this machine has ruled the touring world for decades. This isn't just a motorcycle, it's a full-scale luxury touring powerhouse, built to devour highways like nothing else on two wheels. At the heart of the beast lies a silky smooth 833cc horizontally opposed flat-six engine, producing about 124 horsepower and 170 Newton-meters of torque, delivering power so effortlessly that riders often say it feels more like flying than riding. Twist the throttle and the Goldwing doesn't jerk forward aggressively. It surges with turbine-like smoothness, pushing its massive touring frame down the highway with calm authority. And then there's the legendary 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, a system that shifts gears faster and smoother than most riders ever could, while also offering reverse and a low-speed walking mode to make maneuvering this nearly 850-pound luxury tourer surprisingly easy. For decades, the Goldwing has been known as the king of long-distance comfort, but in 2026, it feels sharper, smarter, and more advanced than ever before. But here's where things really get wild. The 2026 Goldwing 1800 DCT isn't just about comfort. It's about transforming the entire long-distance riding experience into something almost futuristic. Sitting behind the handlebars feels like stepping into the cockpit of a high-tech touring machine. A 7-inch TFT display, smartphone connectivity with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, advanced ride modes like Tour, Sport, Econ, and Rain, and premium audio turn the cockpit into a full command center for cross-country travel. The bike's double wishbone front suspension and Pro-Link rear system absorb bumps with incredible smoothness, giving riders a level of stability that feels almost unreal for such a large machine. Long rides that would normally feel exhausting suddenly become effortless, with heated seats, adjustable windscreen, cruise control, and a riding position designed for all-day comfort. And that's exactly why the Goldwing continues to dominate the touring world. It doesn't just promise long-distance performance. It delivers a ride so smooth, powerful, and luxurious that many riders say once you experience a Goldwing, every other touring motorcycle suddenly feels like a compromise. The cruiser world thought it had seen everything: big V-twins, retro styling, and comfortable highway bikes. But then, the 2026 Yamaha V-Star 1300 Touring storms back into the spotlight and reminds riders why this legendary name still turns heads. At first glance, it carries that timeless cruiser silhouette: a long, low stance, a sweeping front fender, and classic touring gear like a tall windshield and spacious saddlebags. But the real story begins when the engine fires up. Beneath the tank sits a muscular 1,304cc liquid-cooled V-twin, delivering roughly 70 to 73 horsepower and around 81.8 pound-feet of torque, providing strong mid-range pull and effortless highway cruising. Twist the throttle and the bike responds with that deep V-twin rumble cruiser riders love, pushing forward with smooth yet confident acceleration. The engine's torque peaks around 4,000 RPM, giving riders instant power for passing traffic or rolling through open highways without constantly shifting gears. Even with its big bike presence, the V-Star 1300 Touring maintains a relaxed riding feel thanks to its low seat height and balanced chassis, making it surprisingly approachable for a mid-sized touring cruiser. With a 4.9-gallon fuel tank, belt drive, and 5-speed transmission, it's built for steady mile-eating rides that stretch far beyond city limits. But what really makes the 2026 V-Star 1300 Touring interesting is how it blends classic cruiser DNA with real long-distance capability. This bike was designed for riders who want more than just style. They want a machine ready for real road adventures. The touring setup includes large saddlebags, a protective windshield, and comfortable ergonomics that make highway riding feel relaxed and controlled. Underneath that classic exterior is a solid double cradle frame, telescopic front forks, and a rear monoshock that keep the bike stable even when the road stretches into hundreds of miles. Dual front disc brakes provide strong stopping power, giving the rider confidence when handling a machine that weighs over 600 pounds. The result is a motorcycle that feels equally comfortable cruising through town or chasing the horizon on a weekend tour. And that's exactly why the V-Star 1300 has always had such a loyal following. It doesn't try to be overly complicated or futuristic. Instead, it focuses on the things that truly matter: smooth torque, classic design, and the simple thrill of riding a powerful cruiser across open roads. In a world full of high-tech machines and extreme performance bikes, the V-Star 1300 Touring reminds everyone that sometimes the best motorcycle experience is still the one built around timeless cruiser spirit and the freedom of the open highway.